Oh my! Can't believe I'm recording the last pocket change market report for the month of March. It's just been a really busy month. Just a pure joy to see all of these great errors and varieties that people have found make it out into the marketplace. Um, I know they're not all completely for the tendies, but obviously, if you find these, they don't have a specific need in your collection. You could always sell these things on here. But we have quite the smorgasbord. Is that a good numismatic term to describe a bunch of coins? Maybe for just this one instance, we do have a smorgasbord of various errors and varieties to talk about. All selling on eBay within the last 24 to 36 hours. Of course, to kind of recap things, these are purely finds that people have found out in the wild, whether it's going through change, casually going through change, or not casually going through change and making it an actual freaking business like some people do. Going through coin rolls, big draw with coin roll hunting, of course, is the silver, but there is a multitude of other different coins to find to help kind of add some extra value into that practice. But additionally, I also add in coins that people have cherry picked. Whether they go to a coin shop or a show, they have the ability, if you know what you're looking for, to cherry pick some pretty cool varieties and errors that dealers sometimes would overlook or just flat out miss. You buy it for whatever the non-attributed value is for that coin, and then you can either add it to your collection or resell it. I know a lot of people that do both, and do it rather successfully. So yeah, another way of really putting your stamp in numismatics. That's a good way of doing it as well. And you're also going to see that we have currency on this week's Pocket Change Market Report, because that's all part of the PCMR, baby. We do get paper bills back in change. There's a lot of great stuff to look for. So we're going to cover all the bases. Of course, every single coin and piece of paper money is ungraded. We don't generally talk about graded items on here because that is a rather pricey expense if you did need to do that. And it doesn't quite guarantee that it will add value to your coins and currency. So, without further ado, I figure let's go ahead and jump in because we have quite the list today. We got 35 coins on this mega smorgasbord for the end of March. Starting out with, of course, some paper money. We have a really nice 1969D. This $1 bill seems to be in really high-end condition, so it's probably discovered really early on, but yeah, there's definitely something missing here. We have a plain omission of all of the black ink on the third print layer on there, so we definitely have the green district sealed and the serial numbers, but we don't have the black district seal that would normally be in that spot where it's empty, just to the left of Washington's portrait, in addition to the four corners, is what I like to call it, the four numbers flanking the third print area. This one again probably discovered early on out of a strap or some sort from the BEP. There's a back of the note showing just a slight misalignment of that back print. It's nothing that's going to itself garner any additional interest or premium. But because of the missing back print, this one did sell for 233 simoleons. That's $233 in layman's terms. But yeah, a pretty nice note right here. A good way to kind of kick off the final PCMR for the month of March. All right, and then 2021 coins, I guess, is going to be our subject because we have just a ton of different 2021s that did sell in the last day or two. And we're all going to kind of recap of where the values are. It seems to me that a lot of money is still being poured into some of these prominent 2021 errors, starting out with the crown die chip that you see here. Now, this is in the most far advanced, what I call late stage progression of the die chip, but it's not nothing. This is a rather good sized chip atop Washington's hat on this Washington crossing the Delaware 2021 quarter. A lot of these you'll find are on Philadelphia minted examples, although it's been brought to my attention that you could find smaller die chips, a little bit smaller than this one, by the way, on Denver minted examples, and that is a pretty big development. Those examples, when they do come out in the market, generally sell for between $30 and $50. So that's another good one for you folks there on the West Coast to be on the lookout for. This particular example has been around on the auction scene for quite some time. And still, with all of the supply that was out there and still is out there today, this one managed to bring in $30, which I think is a very respectable amount of money for one of the, I guess, medium progression chips for the state. Now, we do have a couple rather scarce off-center struck Lincoln Memorials, starting out with this 1968S. This one is off-center, I'd say about 30%, maybe a little bit more, but all in all, this is a pretty tough key right here for a collector of such an error series. And as I've said once, and I'll say it again, these are generally collected by date. All right, so people are looking for specific dates. There are a number of rather key dates that just don't make it out into the marketplace that often for off-center strikes. This one right here, a really, really nice example that ended up selling for $55. It looks like there's a little bit of a fingerprint on the obverse of the coin, but I'd say at the end of the day, that's a really, really small issue on this coin for someone to pick up. And in addition, I believe this is from the same seller. Here's a 68D. Now this one does have a few carbon spots on the reverse side. I think it's a little bit distracting. They're quite prominent on there, but all in all, again, another very tough date to find if you're looking to add one of these to your date set of off-center strikes. Again, some of the big selling points with these coins is the full date and mint mark. The more off-center they are, the more that they're worth. But for the series, people are really looking for some higher grade specimens, and this one would certainly fit that mold quite nice. This one sold for $25, and yes, that's even with all the carbon spotting. Now, it just never ceases to amaze me the amount of really neat coins you can find in just bulk world coin lots. All right, this is one of them here. It's a 1999. I guess I'm gonna pronounce this right. It's an India 5 Pacey. I think I might have got that right. I don't know. But yeah, as you can see, this one has a really strong doubled die on the obverse of the coin. You can see specifically the date and that star, all pretty knotted up there with such doubling. But apparently, this is a very common occurrence of these type of coins in the Middle East and in other areas. You can find lots and lots of various doubled dies similar to this, and not only this region of the world, but also in South America is another big one. Brazilian, Colombian coins, things of that nature. There's just a ton of really good stuff out there. The market hasn't quite kind of caught up to this sector of collecting. But it's some of the most radical looking coins that you can find out there. I would say that this one right here, you don't really need a magnifier to see it because it's that strong. But here's kind of like the travesty to buying these is that they are incredibly cheap. As strong as this looks, it only sold for $13.70. Better than a sharp stick in the eye, that's for sure. But it just, that price right there just kind of helps support the fact that there is still a lot of growth that needs to be made in world coins, and maybe one day, probably long after I'm gone, will we see a new appreciation for some of these examples. Yeah, this big gray heavy disc that you see here is actually a blank Eisenhower dollar planchet. The planchet itself is not the greatest of shapes. It's got a bunch of nicks and stuff. It was jostled around quite a bit. I wouldn't say it's circulated, but it might have been found in a mint-sewn bag at one point, probably in the 70s or thereabouts. But yeah, this is a what looks and appears to, it looks to be a Type 2 because it does have a little bit of an upset rim on there, although I've been wrong before, so we'll just assume that I really don't know if it's a Type 1 or Type 2 based off of these images. But this one right here is sold for $118.75. Keep in mind, the larger denomination blanks always seem to command a rather healthy market. So if you do come across these and they're priced cheaper than what you've seen or heard of on eBay, you might want to consider picking these up. Now here's another good one to find. There are quite a few of these reverse cuds on Statehood quarters. Here's another one here, Kentucky. I think we ended up talking about one of these on my last PCMR. What was it, Vermont or something like that. But yeah, there's a few Statehoods where you can find this really sizable cud die break area right here. So a piece of the die had fallen off essentially. So when this coin was struck, all the metal flow ended up going in that area, creating a raised event on that particular area where there is no die left. The coin appears to be in decent shape. The obverse picture was taken on something else different as far as its, I guess, background. This one right here looks like it's on a cloud of some sort. The picture on the left with the obverse appears to show some luster, whereas the reverse picture just looks washed out and possibly cleaned. Kind of hard to say. Again, the right type of lighting and just really matching up the coin photography area, it really does make a huge difference. So yeah, this is like OCD for me, is taking a picture of the same coin on two different surfaces. It's just mind-boggling to me. But this one right here ended up selling for $14.70. Not a terrible ton of money, because there are quite a few of these to be found, and there's like West Virginia, South Dakota, Vermont, like I had mentioned, Colorado, and Kentucky are all states where you could find these cud die breaks. Now this one's a neat one here. Nice catch, by the way, from the seller. This is a 1989p Washington quarter with, I would say, about 100-degree rotated reverse, and that's clockwise style. But yeah, this is a really good picture set right here using a 2x2 as a reference. And you notice that the seller did angle this particular staple on purpose so that way it would show on the reverse as well right here, which will help kind of just really make this one a believable coin. Because rotated die errors are really tough to photograph if you don't know the mirror trick, is like what I like to call it. But yeah, I mean, this one was found in circulation, and what we do know about rotated die errors is that they are quite scarce, especially for this date and denomination, and they are pretty well collected. I can't really say that they're being collected by date because not every date exhibits an example of a rotated die, but I'm telling you what, rotated die errors are vastly underrated when it comes to the hunt. A lot of people just don't have time to flip the coins around to see if it has this wild rotation. Now this one here sold for $60. So that might be a little bit more of an incentive for you guys to flip those coins around as you're hunting through half dollars, quarters, dimes, and especially nickels. They're being found in nickels all over the place. And they all sell really well, so keep this in mind. All right, another 2021 coin. This is one of my favorites, as you guys know. I guess I was made famous by my big kind of treasure hunt of these a few months ago. But yeah, this is another coin right there that is still selling for a lot of money, albeit they're becoming a little bit more scarce. We're not seeing nearly as many of these on the marketplace these days. Maybe one example a week, if that. But this one right here, a really solid sale. Ended up selling for $504.99. This is kind of like that later stage retained cud that we heard about early on a few months ago. That kind of really made a lot of waves. A lot of press online on not only the forum chat pages, but also on Facebook and various other sites as well. I believe Ken Potter is also doing a article on this one too. Yeah, 500 bones, man, is still a lot of money. And yeah, we're not too far removed from 2021. And these can and still will be found out there, especially in examples that are this nice a shape. So take advantage of it while we're still close to 2021 and make a few bucks in the process. Now here's a 2012. This one right here actually is a variety that not a lot of people know about. Okay, and you could say the same for every other double die reverse for this particular short series of Jefferson Nickels. And when I mean short series, I mean this new obverse since, 2006 is when they made these. So we're about 16 years removed from this new obverse here. I can't believe I'm still saying it's new, but yeah, there's a number of dates where you could find doubled dies, and they're not particularly spectacular, but they are on there. This is referred to as WDDR number 3. And it's got the extra, I guess, top bar of this door right here. Again, it's so subtle, and more than likely you're going to need a magnifier to really pick up that area with great effect. But yeah, these are out there, and this one sold for only $3.99. Yeah, they're not really that valuable or pricey, but you know, when you could make a few bucks, and especially if you find full rolls of these, that's where probably more of your satisfaction's going to come when you could find a full roll. And if you decide to sell it, you know, you could make probably about 60 to 80 bucks a roll selling these. But there you go. Yeah, that is what a current modern double die reverse on a Jefferson nickel looks like. And oftentimes you're going to see doubling on some of these items here in this the doorway area, even this top arch area. We've seen some doubling. A really cool pair of Buffalo nickels. Now this is 2 coins. It's a 1935, that's the coin on the right, and a 36. All exhibiting some sort of like either strike through or detached lamination areas. Lamination, as you guys know, is really common on Buffalo nickels. Just really tough annealing process back in the day. But yeah, this is some pretty nice dramatic errors right here. So there's the other sides of the coins, relatively problem-free. They're all, you know, both quite circulated, probably VF20s on their best of days. So we are looking at a sale here of $54.99. I've come across quite a few of these, more than I could count, which is a lot. I could count at least 250, if not higher. So, you know, just to let you guys know, I am somewhat smart. I do have a 5th grade education, if you could believe that. But I mean, when we look at these, you know, again, they're not spectacular. They're well worn, and but they do have value. And anytime you could achieve $20, $30 paydays off of each of these, that's really solid. I would certainly consider and entertain selling these while the market is still good. Now, this is unfortunate. This is a seller that offered in 1995 Lincoln Memorial Set. This is a double to die obverse. It's the FS101 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. But the pictures are horrible. I mean, the close-ups are just fine, but there was no full obverse picture. There was no full reverse picture. The seller was taking a picture of a picture. I guess they used a microscope with a screen, and they took a picture of the screen. You could see all that data on there. Again, I don't recommend doing it this way because it can hurt your listings in the long run. The coin based off of these 2 images looks like it's circulated. It's got some gunk in there, some dirt, maybe a few little plating blisters are also to be called in there. But, you know, this one ended up selling for only $15.50 with 8 bids. I have seen coins of similar condition to this sell for 20 to 30 bucks. So there is definitely a little money left on the table. And I think it had a lot to do with the overall presentation of the listing, unfortunately. Just a little word of advice. Take a full obverse and reverse picture when you list these coins, in addition to any pertinent close-ups that'll help you make the sale. Okay, don't overdo it, don't underdo it, but do it just right. And you'll do just fine. All right, Coins and Cards offered up another just really, really huge example. Really nice type piece right here, 1869 over 69. You heard that right. It's a repunch date, Indian head cent, and this one is a really premier piece right here. Probably like a VF35 XF40 grade range, which is highly acceptable for such a scarce piece. A lot of these are generally good AG and about good, and very goods also exist out there in 69s. I mean, it's a really tough date. And if you're looking for a really solid piece for your Indian head cent collection, this one's great because it's not graded. You can just put this right into an album right away or keep it in a flip. I would say it's not even worth grading at all because, grading, costs a lot of money. And this one, just to let you guys know, did sell for $676.68 with 51 bids, which kind of maximizes the market for this particular coin. If it was graded, you might be able to muster another $25-50 out of there. But, the trade-off is you got to pay for the submission, and there's a time factor. It's taking roughly about a month and a half to get coins back. This one, as you guys can see, also repunch date. You can see the bottom extra curls of the 6 and 9, and just little portions of the top of the 6 and 9 are in there as well. If you look close enough, you can even see some repunching in the denticles, which was quite common to test the hardness of the dies at that time. $676 is a really good amount of money for this. And here's another piece of currency, this time a 1977 $1 bill. Just a note that exhibits a little bit of circulation. We could see some soiling on the front of the note. But a lot of what really makes this one tick is going to be the ever so light front to back wet ink transfer that you see here. So there was a little bit of leftover ink on that impression cylinder prior to printing up this the back of the sheet. As you can see here, it's a very light wet ink transfer. However, I will say that it is complete. It's 100% transfer. It's not a partial or anything like that. This one ended up selling for $86.39 with 28 bids. And here's another dollar bill. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that this has a grossly misaligned third print. I mean, it is so far off of where its normal spot should be for the serial numbers and the seals on here. I mean, the serial number is plastered across Washington's face. I don't know how he feels about that. That might be a slap in the face. No Will Smith puns or memes are going to be added in here, although I did say that. So consider it done, but everybody's talking about it. I mean, why not I throw in my little 2 cents? But I promise that's the only time I'll bring it up. But yeah, this is a pretty crazy error. The only negative mark I will say on this is that the seller should have probably taken the note out of the sleeve because, I don't like stickers on the sleeves where it might be covering up, a condition thing. You just never know. I just prefer to have a complete 100% image of the note, like you see here on the reverse. I mean, this is a good image. It just shows that the note looks to be in pretty good shape. This one. Where did this one end up at? $666.91 with 26 bids is a lot of money. But did you guys see how misaligned that third print is? That's probably one of the most crazily offset third prints I've seen in quite some time. And that, I guess, justifies the king's ransom of money that this one sold for. Not my favorite coin, but I will say that this one is on the list because of how wild it is. 1991D. Lincoln Memorial Cent. This is a double struck coin. The secondary strike is so far off center and it's like it's stretched out and all that, but it is a Zinken. So, by reason of virtue, it's not my favorite. But, for the people that do collect these, this is a really wild example. This one sold for $36.99, which is a pretty good amount of money. However, if this was a double struck copper era of coin, like a pre-1982, it'd probably see double or triple that amount of money. Again, it's all in perception. Zinkins, in general, as far as errors, command a lot less money than the copper variants. All right, so we know who sold this one, same seller, but we have another pretty wild error here, 1977A $1 bill with missing digits. So it's missing the 6th digit here. So we either it's a stuck number wheel or just no inking applied to that particular digit on the set. But yeah, pretty crazy here. Not a beautiful note by any stretch. It has a really significant margin tear up here on the top of the note. That's something that is worthwhile talking about. Yeah, this one's pretty rough. This one's raggedy, but yeah, that's a pretty neat error nonetheless. And this one sold for $53 with 15 bids. A lot of activity on this one, even though the condition is rather weak. Oh man, more cuds. I love it. How about 1920? We're going back old school here. 1920, Lincoln wheat cent with a pretty sizable cud die break here at the bust of Lincoln. Yeah, not a great condition coin, and that's fine. This still has a lot of value because it is a cud die break, and it sold for $39.50. So yeah, I mean, what else is there more to say? You could either keep this one in the collection or sell it. Just know that there is a lot of value in spite of its condition. Yeah, and I just have to bring this up again. 1957 Lincoln wheat cent with the aforementioned die chip and the top curl of the 9. I had talked about, 57D last PCMR that sold for like, I don't know, $30 or something. So here's another one here, just as spectacular looking, really nice shape. There's a little bit of a close-up for you. Sold for $5.50. 15 bids. So maybe the fervor and the all that had died down just a hair. Or maybe it's not as wild as the previous example I talked about. All right, now this is what we play for when we go through those penny rolls. This is a 1960D large date Lincoln Memorial set. This, of course, is the wildly popular dual variety coin here with not only an RPM. You guys see that secondary D? That's north of the primary right here. But this is also a doubled die. It's actually the small date over large date variant. You can see the... hey, what's going on? Yeah, I thought we were a professional production here. But you can see the small 0 above the big 0, and then likewise with the 6. Just a really cool variety. I owned a few of these myself because they are just that important to Lincoln cent collecting in general. The couple that I do have are graded, of course, but ungraded, still a really good sell. This one sold for $52 with 9 bids, and these are also coming up in BU rolls. Haha, good luck with that. Good luck with finding any 1960 large date BU rolls. They're becoming quite scarce out there because people are looking for this particular variety. Another good variety here, of course, 56D is known for a ton of various repunch mint marks. Why not add another one here? This is RPM number 1, and you can see here on the right side of the screen, it's D over D. The secondary D is west of the primary on this one. And this one, I'm happy to say, did sell for $19.95 with 3 bids. That's a pretty good sale. Now here's a rather inexpensive lot of 3 error coins. They all exhibit curved clips, singular curved clips. We have a 65 nickel, a 64D penny, and a 64 penny. So that's a Philadelphia there. You guys see where all the clips are on each of them. And yeah, I would say $8.20 is where this one sold with 6 bids. Another curved clip, this time on a non-disclosed dated coin. I mean, we could determine it's a 1900s coin, right? Maybe 1990, 1980. 1970, kind of hard to say at this point. It is a Denver. It does have really nice Blakesley effect, which is a flattening of the opposite edge of the clip. That's a rather good sized curved clip as well. This one sold for $31.95 with 14 bits, and we have more to come on these curved clip Kennedys. How about another massively sized, if not just really worn Lincoln here, 1977. Yeah, check out that cut die break, right? It covers half of the friggin' motto. It's just amazing. This is a really cool coin. No, that's not damage. That's actually a piece of the die that had broken off at one point, and this is how it strikes its subsequent coins before it gets replaced. Yeah, even condition. Condition does not scare people away, ladies and gentlemen. This will be scooped up really fast, and it certainly did. $75 buy it now sale is what this one ended up in. It's going to go into a home where I'm pretty sure it's got some other nice spectacular cuts aside from this one. Now, this is wild. What do we call this? Either a gutter fold, a really big gutter fold, or just a folding error, kind of like a butterfly. And this one right here is a 1988A $5 bill, if you can believe that. So it's a rather modern date of paper money that we're talking about here. It's not the greatest looking example either. It looks like it's circulated a lot, which is crazy, considering that if it did exhibit this will catch the eye of anybody, whether you're a collector or not. All right, and they'll know it's an error. So, yeah, that's one of our greatest mysteries, is why stuff like this circulates to the point where where you have like little rust stains and just yeah, it's crazy. But this one right here, really nice, sold for $151.99. Yeah, so the sheet was folded before it was printed. That's what we have here. Now, we don't see these that often. This is a America the Beautiful Shawnee National Park quarter with a pretty sizable curved clip. I mean, we just don't see a lot of clips on the National Park quarters, but we do have one here that did sell for $10. Not too bad. I would say, based off of condition, looks like it's circulated quite a bit. I would certainly trade this for a $10 bill every day of the week. And yeah, here's the pre-cud of the retained cud for 2021 Lincoln Shield set. This one is the K3 to K7 die crack. The earliest progression of this occurrence. Another really solid sale. Yeah, these things got up to like $300-400 at its peak. And then they dropped down and have settled to where this one sold at, which was $157.49 with 15 bids. Still a really respectable sale for this coin, in addition to the fully formed retained cud that sold for $500. For a pair, you could still make about $600-700 off of these coins. So definitely worthwhile looking for these. That's like a tank of gas, ladies and gentlemen, if you can think about that. If you wanted me to use, current marketing, strategies and, analogies and, other G's I've, missed out. But yeah, still a spectacular coin. Again, 2021, still hot to trot, baby. Of course, how about more 2021? Tuskegee Airmen quarter. This is also a Philadelphia minted coin as well. And it's got that strike through right on the building. It's kind of like what they call the field restricted strike through, where the feeder finger actually pushes some of that grease all around the coin. And it just so happens that this one is actually on the building, giving it, an effect all its own. There's a little bit of a close-up for you. Again, it's not the largest formation of this strike through, but, this is a small one, but still relevant. You still want to find these. This one sold for $84.99, which is good. The larger ones, with the secondary strike through, those still sell for upwards of $200+. So very healthy market. Again, another 2021 coin to keep an eye out for. I cough because this coin made me. 1944S Lincoln Wheat Cent. My goodness, this is a lamination for the ages. Oh boy, yeah, pretty crazy what can be found out there. This one probably was found in a BU roll at one point because the coin is in just immaculate shape. It's a really nice full red example. Pretty big occurrence on the reverse of the coin right there. Would love to see where the other piece of this thing is at, if that even exists. But what are we looking at here for the sale? This one garnered $115 on eBay. I believe yesterday is when this one sold. Really well done. Had no idea that these would be worth that kind of money, but laminations, people, the larger and the more ridiculous they look, the more that they will get on the market. All right, 2022, Maya Angelou. I figured we'd go ahead and do a quick little update on the drooling die chip corner of mouth error on these. So that's what that looks like there. It's not the most latest stage of this type, but this one right here was a singular coin listing. A lot of people are selling multiple coins, full progressions, things like that. Apparently this is a progression that doesn't come up too often. But yeah, this is a pretty good sale right here at $27.25 with 15 bids. So if you could take really good pictures, I'm glad to say that these will still sell for a really good amount of money. So make sure you're looking out for these. All right, so yeah, it was bound to happen. We have another off-center struck Indian head set. This time with some sort of like weird lamination stuff going on in the reverse. It's 1865, so it's a much earlier date compared to what I've been seeing lately. Just a really good-looking coin, even though it's really well worn and it does have a few issues there with some what looks to be, I don't know if that's wax or paint or corrosion on the obverse and reverse of the coin. But this one right here is sold for $134.50 with 2 bids. So we do have a few coins left to round out the PCMR for the month of March. How about this beauty right here? 1972D Kennedy half dollar. Note the condition of the coin. It's spectacular. And if you're looking to get all the money in the world for the missing FG initials of this particular date, which by the way is the one of the more scarcer dates out there for the missing FG initials, it needs to be in this condition. This is the one right here. A little bit of a close-up. You can see the over-polishing area of the initials. It makes it completely gone. Another thing to note with these missing initials, you're also going to have general weakness on these feathers and then on this turkey leg right here. Or eagle leg, rather. It looks like a turkey leg. Like a carnival or something. It's crazy looking. But yeah, $96.53 is what this one ultimately sold for. 33 bids strong. Boy, there was a lot of activity on this one. There were a number of people that really wanted a high-end example. And yes, people are collecting candy half-dollar varieties and filling up their collection with premier pieces. This is a good one right here to add. 1979 Kennedy with a split clad layer. I will say this. This might have been helped along. I'm really not sure. It was probably a partial clamshell at one point and it just ripped off. I don't know if it was a man-made rip-off or if it just fell off naturally. It's really hard to say. But yeah, that's your copper core in there that we're looking at right now. The nickel clad layer had peeled off and broke at one point. It's circulated quite a bit because that copper core has toned to a brown, or oxidized, whatever you want to use. How about $214.46 is what this one hammered in at. And yeah, I've seen them get pretty wild and crazy. But this is the first candy half dollar that I've seen in quite some time. At $200, that is a lot of money. All right, the last piece of currency for the PCMR this month. How about 2009? A much later, very modern dated dollar bill. Keep this in mind. You can find these errors on newer notes. If you're not looking for them, I don't know what else to say. But On the back of the note, we have a full 100% front-to-back wet ink transfer on a 2009 $1 bill, ladies and gents. Another good one to look out for. This one sold for $105.49 with 11 bids. Juiciness. Speak of juice, we're bringing some juice here in the form of a 1985p candy half dollar with count of 1, 2, 3 curved clips on the same coin. This is beautiful. I love this. And yeah, look at it. It has circulated. It's not uncirculated. This is probably a technical AU grade coin right here. But 3 clips on 1 candy half dollar. Yeah, this one has all the biscuits with the gravy poured right over it. I haven't eaten breakfast in case you haven't figured that out. So guess what I'm gonna do after this? It's gonna be a late breakfast, but it's okay. We're gonna end this one off on a 3-clipped candy half dollar. Sold for $125. Yeah, all our collective jaws have dropped off of the last 10 coins on this list. A lot of good stuff to look out for. Keep in mind the 2021s are still being pursued to this day. And oftentimes, more than likely, and probably yes, you're going to see that a lot of the coins are going to exhibit more and more circulation as they're being found. That's just the nature of the beast. But it should not be a surprise. They will still have a ton of value. A lot of really crazy radical errors came out of last year's coins. And because we haven't seen super spectacular 2022 errors, I think that's why a lot of people are revisiting last year's kind of silly windfall of errors. And they're just pumping all sorts of money into it. So keep that in mind. Still lots of 2021s to find out there. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. It was a pleasure. What a mega show to end off the month of March. I will see you guys next month for more pocket change market goodies. Coinaholics, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, please. I could use some extra support, and on top of all the support you're already giving me, I could be selfish that way. Hey, I like to say I'm doing a decent job. You guys take care, have a great week, and I'll see you on the next coin video. So long.